Hi, I'm Christy Alosio, and I am a marriage and family counselor in Carmel, Indiana at Family Tree Counseling. Today I'm going to talk about how abandonment issues can affect our ability to create boundaries in a relationship. Um, Boundaries in relationships are about being able to protect ourselves and to keep ourselves safe within a relationship. So, say, this is what I'm okay with, this is what I'm not okay with, and being able to hold firm to that. A lot of people are able to set boundaries in their head or try to set boundaries in relationships, but they tend to fall short, or people tend to kind of walk over them or push those boundaries down and they don't stick. And so, an important part with boundaries is not only creating the boundaries, but it's also about keeping the boundaries and holding the boundaries and being true to it. If you're able to do this in a relationship, then you're able to, keep yourself safe or protect yourself on what you feel okay with and what you don't. It's about trusting that little bit of gut instinct that comes up that says, I do want to do this, I don't want to do this, this is something that's okay with me, and this is not, this is something that is not okay with me. But all too many times I see clients on my couch that struggle with this. I don't feel okay with this, but eventually I gave in. I'm not okay with this, I've set the boundary, but this, my partner, my spouse walks all over it, and it's like I never set the boundary to begin with. And so a big part of this is having people sit on my couch and digging through and figuring out, why is the boundary not holding? Why are you giving in? Why are other people, and you're allowing other people to walk all over your boundaries, and why can't you hold those firm? So, one big reason I find that people have a hard time kind of holding close and keeping their boundaries really in check is the abandonment issues that they suffer from. So just a brief summary of abandonment is the real or perceived feeling of somebody leaving you. And you have to be careful with that definition, that you really pay attention to the real or perceived part, because sometimes somebody really is pulling away or leaving you, and sometimes they're not, but it's the same kind of feeling that comes up. It's a panic, it's a, I can't do this, it's a, I have to have this person to be okay. And a lot of people have this feeling that, if I wasn't in this relationship, if I wasn't in this marriage, I'd be okay. I've got a good job, I make money, I'll be able to take care of myself. And they feel that way on the outside, and they feel that way until push comes to shove. And then the problem is, if they get really, if there is really a possibility of the relationship ending, like panic sets in. There's all of a sudden this feeling of I'm not going to be okay. I can't be without this relationship. And even if they don't want to admit it, the feeling is there, and they can't get out of the relationship no matter really what's going on. And this, having that feeling and that fear of I'm not going to be okay if I am not in this relationship, will definitely play havoc on any boundaries that you try to set. If something comes up and you say, I'm not comfortable with that, I don't want to do that, but the other person pulls away and they emotionally cut off from you, then that abandonment feeling might be triggered. So say, the wife wants to go out to dinner, but the husband doesn't feel like they have enough money to go out to dinner. And so his gut feeling is, I worry about money, I don't think we have enough, I don't want to go out to dinner. And so he, she approaches him and says, hey, I want to go out to dinner tonight. And he says, I'm not comfortable with it, I don't want to. So what you have to see there is, the boundary for him is, I don't want to go out to dinner tonight. That's not something that I want to do. And that's what his gut is telling him. That is what is in his mind that says, this is what's right for me tonight. I don't want to, I know we don't have the money. I don't want to put us in financial strain. So my boundary is no. So the scenario goes, he says no, and she gets upset, and she gets, several different emotions could come up with somebody in that position. They could get angry, and the anger triggers him to say, oh, okay, never mind, we'll go. So that could be one scenario. The second scenario could be that she just emotionally cuts off from him, and emotionally cutting off would kind of be like the passive aggressive, like, okay, and not talking to him, giving them the cold shoulder for a couple days, not engaging with him, and obviously that would also bring up bad feelings for him. Either one of those reactions that she might have could equal abandonment for the husband. The anger, you got to go down the path of emotions with that. Okay, she's angry. So what happens if she's angry? Okay, then she's mad at me, and ultimately she might leave me because she's angry at me. Or if she's angry at me, our evening is going to be bad and I'm not going to feel very loved and I'm going to feel really abandoned because she's going to be over there being angry and I'm going to be over here feeling lonely and perceiving that, she's pulling away from me or feeling like she's pulling away from me. And the same thing happens with the emotional cutoff or the emotional disconnect, the passive aggressiveness that she may have as triggers that abandonment for him of, oh my gosh, she's not here, she's abandoning me, I'm here by myself. And that abandonment feeling, when it comes up in people, it's very panicky, is the best way I can describe it. It's like a pit in the bottom of your stomach. It's imagine being a little kid and losing your mom in the grocery store and not being able to find her, and that panic that sets in like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Well, if you really looked rationally at that situation, the mom is, almost pretty likely to still be in that grocery store and she's not gone and you're going to find her, but that little kid abandonment kicks in and says, oh my gosh, she's not here right now, I need her. That same feeling can kick in as an adult. Just because your wife is upset that you're going to dinner and passive aggressively pulls away from you and just engages with you doesn't mean that she's going to leave the marriage and that she's not in the grocery store. But that same feeling kicks in. It's like that same childlike kind of irrational, oh my gosh, she's gone, she's leaving me. So if you associate or connect with that feeling, then that's some abandonment that you're feeling. And so over time, what can happen is you're used to this scenario, you know how it's going to play out, so you will eventually give in and go out to dinner even if that's not what you want to do because of your fear of having that feeling. You don't know how to, say, talk yourself off the ledge, so to speak, or get out of that feeling, and it's such a horrible panic pit in your stomach that you're like, I will do whatever I need to do to try to make that feeling go away, and I'll do whatever I need to do to try to make this relationship work and not get her mad at me or pull away from me because I don't want it to end. Even if, in your mind, several steps are going to happen before it is, it's still that kind of pit in your stomach of, oh my gosh, that might happen down the road. So I use the going out to dinner example as just kind of like a simplistic version of what could happen, but the problem is people can really get stuck in this scenario on big things of which house to buy or, how we spend money or how we deal with children or things that we do sexually in relationships, and all of those things can really put us in a place where we're doing things that we are really not comfortable with because we're scared of losing the relationship. That abandonment feeling keeps us stuck in this, I need to do what they want me to do because I need to keep this relationship happy, I need to keep this relationship going. So when I see this type of couple or this individual in my office, it's not always about, okay, let's just learn to make boundaries and let's just do them and hold them and keep them and everything's going to be fine. A big part of it is really getting in touch with that abandonment feeling, where it comes from, why it's there, and how do you talk yourself off the ledge when you have it, so that when you do set the boundary, you can hold it. It's not so hard to necessarily come up with the boundaries. A lot of times it's hard to hold on to it once you have it there. And if you're always giving in to things that you're not comfortable with, it's like you're abandoning yourself and not taking care of what you really want and need. It's really about that other person and trying to keep them happy. And getting stuck in that, I gotta make this relationship work dance is always very dangerous because you're gonna lose yourself in it and you're gonna lose what you want and need, and eventually, that tends to breed some resentment, anger, and unhappiness just overall about the relationship. And so if you're struggling with this, a few things you need to start to dig into is, where does my abandonment come from? And another thing would be, why do I not feel comfortable to really set boundaries to protect myself? And if you look back, a lot of people that struggle with this no one's ever taught them that it's okay to protect themselves or that it's okay to have boundaries. So a lot of people that have suffered any kind of sexual abuse deal with this issue because, again, that's like one of the most intimate, private, vulnerable boundaries kids should have, is that my body is mine. And when somebody is abused, especially as a child, that completely just says there's no boundaries here, I'm able to do whatever I want, you're not allowed to protect yourself, you're not allowed to have boundaries. And so a lot of times I find that people that have struggled with that with setting boundaries. Somebody that doesn't have any voice as a child, that their opinion is not heard, their opinion is criticized, their opinion is mocked, Those people a lot can't set boundaries because they're scared of, like, my boundaries aren't any good. People don't think that my opinion or what I want is okay, so I'll just put it on the back burner, and it's not important for me to get those needs met. So again, it's not always about just coming in and hitting, headstrong right into the boundaries issue. There's a lot that comes along with not being able to keep boundaries and why that occurs. So, digging in and kind of seeing the whole picture is really important to be able to learn to do that. And if you have some abandonment, you really need to see how those two are connected and how your abandonment may be keeping you from setting boundaries and protecting yourself in relationships the way that you should be. So if you want more information or want to kind of come in and learn more about your boundary or abandonment issues, my email address is christyfamilytree@live.com. That's CHRISTY familytree@live.com. Thank you.